Welcome to the Believeland Prep Podcast, presented by Michael DeLazo & Co., CPAs and business advisors. If you need anything that is in that realm, make sure you reach out to them at cpaneeds.com. I'm your host, Cameron Palmer. My lovely co-host, Derek Dimmitt, is with me once again, and we are upon week 5. It starts tomorrow. Boy, oh boy, how are we feeling?
It's crazy that we're already halfway done. Well, after this weekend, we'll be halfway done. But then, the temperatures are still in the 70s and touching 80, so it still feels like summer. And here we are halfway done with the high school football season. And there's been some great games, and I'm sure we're getting ready to have some great ones here as a lot of teams get ready to start conference play if they haven't already.
Yep, we're ramping up conference play. Most of the teams in my area start conference play next week. Man, it's got some good ones on the horizon. It's going to be an electric final 5 weeks. No doubt. Some good crowds, and I'm excited. But before we get there, let's talk about last week. A couple very good games, probably game of the year. We talked about it earlier in the week with Marshawn. If you have not seen that interview, go check it out. Menor and Medina. Game of the year. I don't want to talk about it too much. I just kind of want to say shout out Ben Pierce to, come in for Scotty Fox and to win the game, essentially, for your team. A 55-yard game-winning touchdown pass to Justin Hodge to win the game. An absolute kind of a crazy thing to think about. Good for him. I'm not sure if Fox is going to be in this week, and if not, I think there's nobody else I want throwing the ball besides Fox. If there's anybody else I'd rather put out there, it's probably him. I mean, obviously, we know that he can connect with his receivers. Obviously, only going 3 for 6, but it's the one connection that matters, and it was a small sample size anyways, considering it was mid-game that he had to come in. What can he do for a whole game? Well, we'll let you know next week. Don't worry, you'll know all about it. Yes. And as for my game of the week, the Chardon Hilltoppers defeated St. Francis from New York. Shout out to St. Francis. They were very cool on social media, Twitter mostly. They were liking a lot of my tweets. A lot of the athletes and the kids were liking my tweets. Very cool gesture considering that they are out of state and we're in a Northeast Ohio-based company, but them coming out of state, reading and retweeting and all that kind of stuff, my article and my announcement tweet, as we call it, was very cool. Something I didn't expect. So shout out to them. If you guys are listening or watching this, thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. Best of luck to the season, and I hope you all made it home safely. I haven't heard any tragic news, so I'd like to believe that is so. Anyways, Chardon wins 35-20. They will travel to Columbus on Friday to face Bishop Watterson. The number 4 ranked team in Division III. Chardon's around 10-15, I believe, at the moment. Will Francis did a good job. They opened up the passing game a little bit. I talked to him and Coach Hewitt about it after the game. What it was like knowing that over the past 3 weeks, all they've done is run the ball with very little amounts of passing. So they kind of opened up a little bit, a lot of play action. Francis goes 5 for 8 for 84 yards passing. No passing touchdowns, but they opened it up, and he showed that he can do it, making that something that teams are going to have to look out for. I mean, obviously, when he goes for 17 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown, obviously, there's one thing you're going to look at before you look at his passing numbers. But you still have to worry about that, which I think is going to be a very key part of their stretch run, weeks 6 through 10, a couple of games I will have. Some very good games. Again, we'll get to that when the time comes. But I think that passing game and them getting more comfortable with it is going to be key in the stretch run. Obviously, going to be facing a lot of really good defenses, so you can't always run the ball. And that's kind of what St. Francis did. They had to open it up a little bit with the passing game. Drago Vujaclia, shout out to him. His mom was fantastic. She takes pictures of all the games. She was very nice. She was very excited to see me once again. We had a change of plans, But nonetheless, I had a very good game to cover as well. And I found this out after I interviewed him. I was his first interview ever. She approached me at the gate as I was about to head to my vehicle to leave. She's like, "Hey, thanks for interviewing him. You were his first interview." I'm like, "Hey, just part of my job." So shout out to him. 6 carries, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Congrats, Drago. A pleasure to interview you. I probably will be talking to you at least one more time this year because I got a number of Chardonnay games before it's all said and done. I know I've made note of Alexander Ash every week, and I'm going to keep doing it because he had 17 total tackles, 10 solo tackles, and a sack last Friday. I'm not sure if he's trying to set a record or something, but I'd like to believe he's probably on pace for it because every week he's over 10 total tackles and he's got roughly like 7 to 8. This last week 10 solo tackles. Just week in, week out, he is dominating at that Mike linebacker spot. Really doing it all. Like, it's not just tackles, it's sacks, tackles for loss, it's everything. I'm excited to see what his stretch run is going to be like. Obviously, when you need to play your best football, you can go 0-5 through the first 5 weeks, but if you go 5-0 when it matters most, you're going to win conference. You might be a 500 team winning conference, but you won conference. This is when it matters. Austin Green, 11 tackles, 1 sack, and 2.5 tackles for loss. And Drayton Allgood with his first interception of the season on the last play of the game. Keanu Longa just kind of chucked it up there, end of the game, and Drayton Allgood came away with it to seal it. Hilltoppers come away victorious, sending St. Francis back to New York, 35-20. A really good game. It was 21-7 at halftime, and Chardon just kind of did what they do in the second half. I've noticed that 21-7 at half, it seemed a lot closer than what the scoreboard might say. St. Francis did score first. Some things that kind of need cleaned up on Chardon's part. AJ Bruce muffed a punt return, like a punt catch. He muffed it, and on the opening kickoff, St. Francis pooched it. I'm not sure who, but whoever it was on that side did not recover it, gave St. Francis the ball. They were able to score 2 plays later. So it was a kind of a shocking start, to be honest, but I think they bounced back really well, although not scoring until the beginning of the second quarter and then scoring 2 more touchdowns following that. It still felt like more of a tightly contested game, and then they just kind of piled it on in the second half, as they did to Avon Lake a couple weeks ago, as it seems they do every week. I'd like to give a shout-out to that Chardon defensive line, dealing with a 6'8", 335-pound left tackle, Georgia commit, Marcus Hampton, I believe, is his name. I think them coming away with a sack at all against his offensive line, because it was a very big offensive line. Like, yes, he's a mountain of a man, but the left guard through the right tackle were all like 280, 90, 300-pound just men. And Chardon's defensive line is kind of more – they do group substitutions. I see, like, they have the pass rush group where it's like 4 DN types just pass rushing, because obviously on 3rd and long, you don't want to put out your nose guard run stuffer, because he's not going to get home. But it didn't seem like at any point in the night did they have any trouble filling the gaps and rushing the passer. They got home a number of times. They didn't give the St. Francis offense much room to run the ball with, and that's why they kind of passed it most of the night. The Chardon defense forced a punt or turnover on downs on 9 of 13 possessions. If you want to talk about dominating it defensively, that's it. 3 of those possessions were touchdowns, and the final one being the interception by Drayton Allgood. Chardon moves to 3-1. They play Bishop Watterson, as I mentioned, and they begin conference play next week against the Kenston Bombers. We'll get to the Bombers and their fantastic night here in a little bit. And then you got anything to add before I get to the players of the week?
Yeah, just real quick. We had Kevin sleds. He was out at Southeast as the Pirates took on Akron North and the Vikings. Southeast was able to move to 4-0 on the year with a demanding 30-6 victory over the Vikings. Southeast was led by the Mejia brothers, with quarterback Antonio Mejia rushing 13 times for 154 yards and 2 scores, and brother Austin chipping in 31 yards on 6 carries and 1 touchdown. Also joining them on the ground attack was Case Myers, who rushed the ball 6 times for 30 yards and 1 trip to pay dirt. So just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, all in all, a light week here with Believeland. We had a few guys on respite. But we're more than making it up for it this week, and we'll get to that after you announce the Believeland Media Players of the Week.
So, Division 1 through 4 Players of the Week, presented by Brunswick Automart. Gilmore Academy quarterback Jake Kavsik, I believe I said that correctly, 179 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 10 rushing attempts for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. 325 total yards and 5 total touchdowns from the quarterback. That was a win over the NDCL Lions. I will be having them on Friday. Again, we'll get to that once we get there. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about before we even think about Friday. It's not even Thursday yet. In Division 5 through 7, shutout, Crestwood running back Nate Blasioli, 24 attempts, 265 yards, hit pay dirt 4 times and 8 tackles defensively. Name I'm very familiar with, having played Crestwood a couple times throughout my high school playing career. So congrats to him. Crestwood's kind of on the come up. They were a little iffy last year, kind of an easier opponent to face. They got Beechwood on Thursday. Again, we'll get to that. I know I'm kind of moving ahead, but also taking a step back every time I talk. Anyways, they're kind of building something, and it seems like they're trending in the correct direction. And I think head coach Jack D'Amato is doing the right things with this program, and I'm excited for the future. Just because I've played against them in their kind of, I want to say, dog days, as they weren't seeing winning records halfway through the season, where they sit now at 3-1. So good for them. I'm excited for their future, and I'm sure we have plenty more Crestwood games to cover this year. Do you want to start with our week 5, or would you like me to start?
I can go ahead and get started. Thursday evening, we got quite a few on the slate for Thursday, which is a little odd, but it's more games that we get to cover, more athletes that we get to watch, and I'm all for that. I will be in Twinsburg as they welcome the Hudson Explorers to Tiger Stadium. Hudson is making that trip, coming off of a victory over Stowe Monroe Falls, 44-14, to get their conference play started in the Suburban League. While Twinsburg, they returned home, looking to avenge their Week 4 loss to Wadsworth by a score of 35-24. And the Tigers are entering this week at 500 and a 2-2 record. And then we have also on Thursday evening is Marshawn Powers. He'll be at Maple Heights, Shaker Heights, a game that's starting at 6 p.m. at Shaker Heights. And Maple Heights is entering the Week 5 with a 1-3 record, and they will look to get back in the win column as they travel to Shaker to take on the 4-0 Red Raiders. Shaker Heights packs a potent offense and will look to continue their offensive onslaught as they have scored 53 and 40 in the past 2 weeks. So definitely one of the more high-octane offenses that the Cleveland area has to offer. So Marshawn Powers will have our coverage of the Battle of the Heights when it comes to Maple and Shaker. And then where will you be tomorrow evening?
Oh, man, I think I'm going to be set in for a good one. The number 9 ranked Division 3 team, the Kinston Bombers, sitting at 4-0, coming off a fantastic win over Villa Angela St. Joseph last Friday, taking on and hosting the 3-1 Lake Catholic Cougars, 2 teams that I actually saw in the same weekend, if any of you remember, when I traveled to West Geauga for Kenston's game against West G, and then I went to Menor on Saturday for the Lake Catholic game against Holy Name. So I got kind of a preseason look, I guess, at this matchup, and I think we're going to be set up for a very, very good one. I do believe that. The Lake Catholic Cougars defeated Willoughby South 34-7 last Friday. Frankie Trinetti goes 14 of 25, 282 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Josh Stiles, 18 attempts for 85 yards on the ground. DJ Sears, 4 receptions, 107 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, and 2 carries, 7 yards, and a touchdown to boot. So 4 total touchdowns for him, 114 total yards. For DJ Sears, Cross Nimmo, the 6'6" tight end, now ranked a 3-star by 247 Sports. Congrats to him. Excited for his future. He's got a lot of talent, and obviously the height. That helps a lot. He has 2 receptions, 62 yards, and a touchdown. And Ace Peterlin, 5 receptions for 61 yards. Lake Catholic improves to 3-1, and they face the Bombers on Thursday at Bomber Stadium. Any of you wondering why the game is going to play on Thursday and not Friday? There is a Catholic holiday on Friday. I did some research. I was curious as to why, but I figured out there's a Catholic holiday. So props to Kenston for accommodating that, moving the game up a day. I did want to bring on head coach Jeff Grubich, but with them being on such a short week, a little bit hard. I wanted to talk about their game against VASJ and what the preparation was like for a short week, but it's fun. I'll just ask him tomorrow after the game if they're to win, or maybe even before, and just kind of share his words on our next podcast. You want to talk about high-octane offenses. The Bombers are a good example, dropping 50 on Boardman in week 1, 49 on West Geauga, 55 on rival Chagrin Falls, and 49 on VASJ, averaging about 52 points per game, not giving up much. They gave up 27 to the number, well, last week it was number 13, Kenston versus number 23, VASJ, Division III ranked teams. So they gave up 27, but again, to a ranked Division III team, so it's not like it was just a pushover. Sean Patrick wins round 1 versus Bo Jackson. Sean Patrick goes for 5 touchdowns, a 73-yard kickoff return touchdown, got it started. That is his second return touchdown of the year. His 23 carries, 189 yards, and 4 touchdowns capped off his night. Lucas Kaltenbach kind of got hit with the interception bug a lot. 7 for 19, 111 yards, 1 touchdown, throwing 2 interceptions, but made up for it on the ground. 12 carries, 106 yards, and a touchdown. So something probably going to want to clean up heading into tomorrow. I'll be honest, Lake Catholic is a team that they're going to take their shots downfield, and if you turn the ball over at the 50, it could be, maybe a short run gain, and then it's going to be a 45-yard bomb down the field to whether it's Ace Peterlin or Cross Nimmo. All of a sudden you could be looking at a team who just scored on you with a quick strike, and their defense then has momentum because you just gave them an interception. Now you gotta calm down, and you gotta play clean, and you can't cough it up. I feel like this could be a game where if Kaltenbach does turn it over a lot, that Lake Catholic's going to capitalize, and I think it could really kind of rattle Kenston. For the rest of the stats, Cohen Clark, 12 attempts, 74 yards, and Tymir Cardona, 2 receptions, 46 yards, and a touchdown. Grubich was ecstatic after the win last week. I saw videos all over Twitter saying that they have some dudes on their team, and I'm excited to see what these dudes are going to do tomorrow. Again, I think it could be a kind of a shootout. It's kind of what week 1, this past game against VASJ was. It was kind of a shootout, and Kenston just kept piling on in the second half to pull away with a 22-point victory. And then that's what I have that was my game for tomorrow. And then the Godfather will be at Jack Lambert Stadium at 7:00 for the Beechwood Bison, the 0-4 Beechwood Bison, to face the 3-1 Crestwood Red Devils. Obviously, a team we just mentioned. They defeated the Wycliffe Blue Devils on a Clash of the Devils. 26-7 on CBC TV. Obviously, coming from a CBC school, I tend to try and watch one of the CBC games every so often. They do a very good job, so shout out to them if they ever see this. 26-7. Obviously, we talked about Nate Blasio and his phenomenal game. Beechwood fell to Grand Valley 42-13 in a sort of CBC game, as Grand Valley and Beechwood are not in the same division. This also not a conference game. It was at one point, I think last year, Beechwood and Crestwood were both in the Valley Division. Beechwood is now in the Metro Division of the CBC. So that will wrap up Thursday. And if you thought we'd be done after Thursday, you're wrong. Well, you still have to take yours away, I do believe. But if you thought we were done, we're not. No sleep this weekend for anybody.
No.
Oh,
I can go ahead and get us started here on our Friday coverage. Okay. As we talked about earlier. Sorry.
I rambled and thought we were still on Thursday. You were on Friday. All right, cool. Take it away.
Yeah, so as we talked with Marshawn earlier this week, he'll be at Massillon as they welcome St. Ed's. And then Kevin just got done talking about him. He'll be at Ravenna at the Blue Turf as Streetsboro Rockets come down to Ravenna to take on the Ravens. Streetsboro's looking to get back in the win column. They suffered their first loss of the year last week at the hands of Norton, and the Ravens enter this game 0-4 on the season. They have battled a lot of guys in different spots this year, so Ravenna's just kind of trying to find their groove more or less, and trying to put together a good game, and hopefully the ball bounces their way a little more often, hopefully, and hopefully they're able to secure a win here before too much longer.
My game on Friday will be St. Vincent St. Mary's, the alma mater of just a kid from Akron, LeBron James. They're 3-1. They face the 2-2 NDCL Tigers. Lions. Oh my goodness, so many Lions and Tigers in Northeast Ohio.
And Bears. Oh my.
What?
Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Oh my.
Yeah, there's so many. And anyways, NDCL fell to Gilmore. We obviously mentioned Jake's performance, 39-17. Gilmore Academy comes away with the win. And St. Vincent St. Mary's defeated Harding 42-28. So NDCL looking to get back in the win column on their home field. The game starts at 7:00. And St. Vincent St. Mary's looking to continue their winning ways, being now 2 games above 500. NDCL sitting at 500. I'm excited. It's going to be my first time seeing Coach Baldessare since the season preview. I'm excited. I know they're going to be very welcoming. Their athletic director, Jason Baxter, he was a pleasure to talk to as well when I was there for the season preview. So I'm excited to get back there, and I hope to see some good football. I think my Friday and Thursday games are going to be some very good competition, and I think they're going to be some good stuff you don't want to miss. And then who is going to be at the Cleveland Heights Menor game? Is it Marshawn or is it Mike?
That's Michael Patterson.
Cool. Michael Patterson will bring you all the coverage from Cleveland Heights. They take on the Menor Cardinals, obviously. Menor coming into the game potentially without starting quarterback Scotty Fox, having to turn the reins over to Ben Pierce. He did throw the game-winning touchdown a week ago against Medina, so we'll see if he can continue to lead his team to wins until they get their starter back. Cleveland Heights is coming off a win. Both teams are coming off wins. Heights took down Brunswick 13-10, and Menor defeated Medina 42-41 in a game for the ages, if for lack of a better term, because that's just about what it was. And this very well could be another one. I think that Menor and Cleveland Heights are evenly matched, and I think Michael could be in store for another fantastic Menor game. I believe he had the St. Iggy's game from a couple weeks ago as well. that I think Iggy scraped away with the win down in Menor, up in Menor for me, I suppose. And then Saturday, triple headers across the board. My final game of the weekend, and I'll be done. Thankfully, gotta make the long hour drive to Mogador. They they face the Columbus Crusaders, the 4-0 Columbus Crusaders. Mogador is coming off a big 28-0 shutout win. Ezekiel Cameron goes 8 for 12 passing, 85 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Lane Miller goes 1 for 1, 83 yards and a passing touchdown. En route to a victory. So we'll see. Obviously, I'm familiar with Mogador. We've played them in basketball for Cardinal, but as far as their football goes, a little unfamiliar. But I'm excited to learn and see what they're all about. And then we have a buttload of college football for you. Take it away.
Thanks, Shooter. Yeah, it all gets started with the Golden Flashes opening their home slate, welcoming the Blue Devils of Central Connecticut State University. The Flashes are 0-2 on the year after traveling to face a Big 12 team in University of Central Florida and an SEC game last weekend as they traveled to Arkansas. So it's a tough go to start the Kenny Burns era at Kent State. Central Connecticut State is a part of the FCS, formerly, 1AA or whatever they called it before they made FBS and FCS. So on paper, this should be one that Kent is able to flex their muscle and get one in the win column before heading back on the road next week as they travel out to California to take on Fresno State. And then we switch it over for some Ohio Athletic Conference action in the D3 realm. Mount Union travels down south to Marietta. While we won't be there in person, we still will have our recap posted either late Saturday night or Sunday at some point. The Purple Raiders and Pioneers are each coming off of a bye week after winning their season opening tilts. Marietta will look to play spoiler. They're kind of more in the middle of the OAC. Mount Union, as always, is picked at the top in the preseason polls. And then the teams most likely to give Mount troubles as this season unfolds will be squaring off in Berea, and Marshawn Powers will be covering this one for us as John Carroll comes across to the west side of Cleveland to take on Baldwin Wallace. Um, both of these teams appear to be 2 and 3 probably in the OAC after Mount Union. John Carroll is entering the game ranked number 17 in D3 football. Mount Union's number 2. So yeah, it should be a good one. This is their annual Gold Bowl rivalry. So a good rivalry game this early in the year. It's always great to see. So yeah, Marshawn will have all of our coverage there. And yeah, we're finally through our gauntlet of coverage for the week. Definitely will be a great weekend for all of us here at Believeland. And without further ado, we're definitely thankful for our podcast sponsor, but also for the sponsors that make covering all these high school and college games make it
Possible.
something that, yeah, possible. Thank you. um, yeah, we have Brunswick Auto Mart, Medina Auto Mall, Daystar Ford in Garrettsville, 1010. They have you covered for the Geauga games. So all 4 of them for our high school sports, and then Primetime Sports for our Kent coverage, Sky High Fitness for our Mount Union coverage, and for this week as a special, since we don't typically cover Baldwin Wallace, we have Tailgate Sports Bar and Grill located in downtown Cleveland near Cleveland State University's campus and the Wolstein Center. They're going to be our sponsor for this Baldwin Wallace battle with John Carroll. So thank you to all of our sponsors, and especially I would say it, but I'll screw up the name, so I'll let you say it again, Cameron.
Thank you to our Believeland Prep Podcast sponsor, Michael DeLazo and Company, CPAs and business advisors. If you need anything accounting-wise, reach out to them at cpaneeds.com. Anything else to add before we wrap it up? I do want to say one thing. Hiram, they dropped to 0-2 on Saturday, losing 62 to 21 to Mount St. Joseph University. They traveled to Indiana to play DePaul the 16th before heading home the 23rd on Saturday to play Denison, and you will see me there if you're a Hiram Terriers football fan. I'll also be at some of their volleyball games throughout the season as well, so keep your eyes peeled for those. Anything to add before we wrap it up?
Nope, let's go get some rest before we cover all these games this week.
I'm going to go buy a Red Bull real quick. I'll be right back.
Thank you guys, everyone.
Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. This is the Believeland Prep Podcast presented by Michael DeLazo and Co. I'm Cameron Palmer. That's my co-host, Derek Dimmitt. Thank you guys so much.